Hello and welcome back to Kevin Can Play today on our War Thunder Docuseries. Today we will be looking at the Nakajima J1N1, which was in direct competition with the Kawasaki Ki-45, which had a little bit more success commercially. So yeah, let's just go right into the video here. And yep, so here it is, the J1N1. Had a couple little tiny bombs, about 50 pounders. Um, but the more interesting stuff is the 20 millimeter in the nose. It also had two in the nose. It had two 303s and four 303s in a super firing position in the tail gun. This is why I find this interesting, more so than the Ki-45. It also had some really good engines and some high maneuverability. But yeah, these super firing 303s I think are pretty cool. And they're actually remote fired from the gunner position. Which had to have taken some talent to get the coordination there. But yeah, I think they're some cool turrets. It's a lot of fun to fly. So let's go actually fly it. Jump into a test flight here. While it's loading, the Nakajima J1N1 Gecko is a twin-engine aircraft used by the Japanese Imperial Navy during World War II, and was used for reconnaissance, night fighter, and kamikaze missions. The first flight took place in May of 1941. It was given the Allied reporting name of Irving since the earlier reconnaissance version of the J1N1C was mistaken for a fighter. Now this one is just the J1N1. It is the prototype version. They pretty much immediately took out the rear guns and replaced the 20mm cannon with a spotlight. So, but yeah, this one's, I think, more fun. Here we go, cockpit view. See what that's all like. Controls there. Kind of slewed a little bit when we accidentally take off. Get her up in the air. Gains some altitude. In mid-1938, the Japanese Imperial Navy requested a twin-engine fighter designed to escort the principal bomber used at the time, the Mitsubishi G3M Nell. The operating range of the standard Navy fighter, the Mitsubishi A5M Claude, was only 750 miles, insufficient compared with the 2,730 miles of the G3M. Moreover, at the time, potential of the Zero, then still under development, remained to be evaluated, stressing the need for a long-range fighter escort. Or long-range escort fighter, words apart, much as the Luftwaffe had done with the Messerschmitt Bf-110, introduced the year before. Let's go for a strafing run here. Anything against the tank. This little truck here. Oh wait, that's the tank. Alright, that's the truck. Well, we killed that truck. Let's go after that tank. 20mm, I might be able to do something. Out of cannon. Oh well. Fly around a bit more. In March 1939, Mitsubishi and Nakajima began the development of a Project 13C. The prototype left the factory in March 1941, equipped with two 1130 horsepower Nakajima Sake 21/22 14-cylinder radial engines. There was a crew of 3, and the aircraft was armed with a 20mm Type 99 cannon and 6 7.7mm or 303 caliber Type 97 aircraft machine guns. 4 of these machine guns were mounted in 2 rear-firing powered turrets, the weight of which reduced the performance of the aircraft considerably. Because of the sluggish handling, being used as a fighter or an escort fighter, had to be abandoned. Instead, the production was authorized for fighter reconnaissance variant, the J1N1C, also known by the Navy designation Navy Type 2N reconnaissance plane. One early variant, the J1N1F, had a spherical turret with one 20mm Type 99 Model 1 cannon mounted immediately behind the pilot. So that would be right middle there, far forward of where the 2 rear guns are now. In early 1943, Commander Yasuno Kozuno in Rabaul came up with the idea of installing 20mm cannons firing upward at a 30-degree angle in the fuselage. Against orders of Central Command, which was skeptical of his idea, he tested his idea on a J1N1C as a night fighter. The field-modified J1N1C Kai, as it was designated, shot down 2 B-17s with the 43rd Bomb Group attacking air bases around Rabaul on the 21st of May, 1943. The Imperial Japanese Navy took immediate notice and placed orders with Nakajima for the newly designed J1N1S night fighter design. And those guns were mounted where the rear turrets are on this one. This model was christened the Model 11 Gecko. It had a crew of 2, limiting the navigator position. Like the Kai, it had a twin 20mm Type 99 Model 1 cannon firing upwards at a 30-degree upward angle, but added a second pair firing downward at a forward 30-degree angle, allowing attacks from above or below. This arrangement was effective against B-17 Flying Fortress bombers and B-24 Liberators. Air trap. Where are they at? Oh, there they are. Alright, let's go have some fun before we get back to the history. We're out of cannon. Disable B will attack allies. Or is that just for flight mode? Anyway, that was fun. Where were we? So yeah, the 30-degree upward and downward firing guns. This arrangement was effective against B-17 Flying Fortress bombers and B-24 Liberators, which usually had spheric ball turrets for visual defense. The gecko's existence was not quickly understood by the Allies, who assumed the Japanese did not have the technology for good night fighter designs. Early versions had no searchlights in place of radar. Later models, the J1N1SA Model 11A, omitted the two downward firing guns and added another 20mm cannon to face upward as with the other two. Other variants without nose antennae or searchlight returned to having the 20mm cannon in the nose. The J1N1S was used against super fortresses in Japan, although the lack of good radar and insufficient high altitude performance handicapped it, since usually only one pass could be made against the high speed B-29. However, some skillful pilots had spectacular successes, such as Lieutenant Sachio Endo, who was credited with destroying 8 B-29s and damaging another 8 before he was shot down by a B-29 crew. Shigetoshi Kudo with 9 victories, Shiro Kuratori with 6 victories, and Juzo Kuramoto with 8 victories. The last two actually claimed 5 B-29s during the night of 25th and 26th of May in 1945. Another Gecko crew shot down 5 B-29s in one night, but these successes were rare, and that one was only claimed, not confirmed. Many Geckos were also shot down or destroyed on the ground. A number of Geckos were relegated to kamikaze attacks using 550-pound bombs attached to the wings. Only one J1N1S Gecko survives today, and it's the only one of the J1N1s that does, period. Following the occupation of the home islands, U.S. forces gathered 145 interesting Japanese aircraft and sent them to the United States aboard 3 U.S. Aircraft carriers. 4 Geckos were in this group, 3 captured at Atsugi, and 1 from Yokosuka. Serial number 7334, the aircraft from Yokosuka, was given foreign equipment number FE3031. Records show that after arriving aboard the USS Barnes, air intelligence officials assigned Gecko 7334 to Langley Field, Virginia on the 8th of December 1945. The airplane was moved to the Air Material Depot at Middleton, Pennsylvania on the 23rd of January 1946. The maintenance division at Middleton prepared the Gecko for flight tests, overhauling the plane's engines with the same make and model as the Zero used, and replacing the oxygen system, radios, and some flight instruments with American equipment. Mechanics completed this work by the 9th of April. The Navy transferred Gecko 7334 to the Army in early June, and an Army pilot flew the Gecko on the 15th of June 1946 for about 35 minutes. At least one other test flight took place before the Army Air Forces flew the fighter to an empty former Douglas C-54 factory at Park Ridge, Illinois for storage. The remaining 3 Geckos were scrapped. In 1949, words are hard. The Gecko was given to the Smithsonian's National Air Museum, but remained in storage at Park Ridge, Illinois. The collection of museum aircraft at Park Ridge numbered more than 60 aircraft when the war with Korea forced the United States Air Force to move it to the Paul E. Garber Preservation, Restoration, and Storage Facility in Suitland, Maryland. Gecko 7334 was dumped outside and rather unceremoniously. The restoration facility in a large shipping crate in 1953, where it remained until building space became available in 1974. In 1979, NASM staff finally selected Gecko 7334 for restoration. Following restoration of the museum's Mitsubishi Zero in 1976, dates are hard, the Gecko became the second Japanese aircraft to receive the skillful attentions of NASM restoration craftsmen. The airframe was found to be seriously corroded from having remained outside for 20 years. At that time, it was the largest and most complex aircraft restoration project the NASM had ever undertaken. Work started on the 7th of September 1979 and ended in 14th of December 1983, following 17,000 hours of meticulous, dedicated labor. Today, Gecko Gecko number 7334 is fully restored and on display in the Stephen F. Udvarhazy Center in Chantilly, Virginia. And I will be linking a brief video of that walk-around of the remaining plane in the description below, so be sure to check that out. Oh, I can't believe we actually pulled that one off, albeit destroying an engine. Yeah, process, so we'll go to land. But yeah, we actually managed the underfly of that bridge. This is Peleliu, and that is literally the only bridge on the island chain, so you know how I like to fly under bridges like that. That's a test, and we managed to pull it off. Unfortunately, our propeller did strike the ocean, so yeah, been pretty good. But we should be able to come in for a landing. Some speed. I prefer to use a throttle approach as opposed to using my landing flaps, as landing flaps do have a tendency of actually keeping you from landing more than they actually let you land. Use them now. No, I'm still too far. No. Alright, and there we have it. That's the J1N1. I find this plane to be a lot of fun to fly in the game. Those tail guns actually are really nice for turning fights, especially against multiple opponents. Having that 20mm cannon, especially in low tier matches, is a great equalizer. I mean, really, the two 50-pound bombs really don't do much, but if I'm using it in a ground attack mode, which I tend to do a lot of, yeah, they give you a little bit more punch coming down in on ground targets, especially lighter ones like AA emplacements or trucks. So yeah, again, very fun fighter. I enjoy it, and we'll see you next time. I'll be doing a little bit of actual PvP gameplay with it here in a little bit. We'll get something to eat and take a little bit of a break, and then I'll get to work on that one. Also, remember to hit that notification bell so you can be alerted to when I upload, because I have a tendency to oversleep or just have a weird sleep pattern in general. As I mentioned earlier, I work nights and do this on my weekends, and my sleep schedule just gets all over the place. So I don't have a very reliable schedule for uploading. As this should have been uploaded yesterday, but I ended up sleeping throughout the evening and not getting it done when I thought I'd get it done. So yeah, be sure to hit that bell notification. Subscribe if you aren't already to see more plane reviews and other fun, video game content. And we'll see you next time.